Okay, folks, this is the invitation. I hope some people will jump on, but I'm going to record this session. This is an absolute, just an informational session based on the NACA homeowners program. Hey, Miss Jane, the NACA homeowners program, which is, I think, one of the best homeowners program in the nation. So there's some information you probably heard about the NACA program, but I have gotten through the program. Apparently, I'm one of the few people, at least in California, I've gotten through the program. So I'm going to give you the insight of what NACA, the program, will not share with you. I'm going to give you some detailed information, how best to obtain a realtor which may be a challenge. But I'll give you the overview of what NACA is and some detailed behind the scenes information that you will certainly be able to use to help you get through this program. So I'm going to start with my presentation. I'm going to share my screen. And at the end or whatever, you can have some questions along the way or that, so you can share it for a later time. So bear with me. Thank you guys for whoever is here, Ms. Roberts and Ms. Jane. I'm going to share my screen and then I'll present. Let's see here if I can find it on. Here we go. There we go. All windows. There we go. Okay. Share. And I'm going to start with slideshow from the beginning. Okay, so what is the NACA homeowners program? Most of you know about it. The completeness program. The completeness is the hardest part. Now, I was able to I heard about this program from a friend. It's been around since almost 40 years. And I was in a situation where I needed some type of guidance on how to obtain home ownership. And you know, if you're in California in particular, home ownership seems to be out of reach in most cases because of skyrocketing home prices, the mortgage rates, and the competition and all this stuff. But I can attest that you can own property in California. There's people trying to, feeling that the only way they can own property is they move out of state to South Dakota or, Louisiana. You don't even have to move to Otisburg, South Dakota. You can own property. I'm living proof. And I'm going to share, since we have family and friends, I'm going to share you a little bit of information about why it was successful for me. I came from a background of losing. I had one of those funny loans in the early 2000s where I went through a bankruptcy, had to short sell a house, went through a divorce, challenging credit, through the roof medical bills, credit challenges, change of income, and one income. Thought it was impossible for me to own a property. I was like, well, how am I going to do this? But it was when I found about this program, it removed all of those major barriers. And what those major barriers are, NACA makes this one of the best programs, is no money down. The biggest barriers to a home ownership is this huge 20% down. Who can come up with 20% of $400,000, which is what average cost of between $350,000 and $400,000? That's a huge barrier. Credit rating. This program does not use the credit number. The FICO credit score is not a factor in this program. That's another huge barrier. And the closing costs, no money down. All these things are very true. There's some variations to this, but those are huge barriers to prevent people from owning homes. When people think about these, they say, I just spoke to someone actually this morning, a family member said they're waiting for them to save $20,000, $30,000. You don't have to do that. Wait for their credit rating to get over 750. You don't have to do that. Those things are not a factor. Wait until I get my income over 100,000. You don't have to do that. This program, which I think is one of the best of attracting people, the best barrier remover is it doesn't go by your annual income. I'm going to say that again. The NACA program does not go by your annual income. Therefore, they go by your monthly affordability, which is huge, right? So that means that I've noticed a person went through this program was only earning, $40,000, $45,000. This woman bought a house. Why? Because her monthly income was that which they determined was affordable for a mortgage. or mortgage. And you and I both know the rent prices in California is through the roof. So basically, if you can afford rent in California, or in most places, you can afford a mortgage. So when I found out that they don't even go by your annual income, that's even more of an attraction to get people to realize you can afford property. You can. And this program is the one to go through. Now, it has its flaws, and I'm going to get through those things. So let's go through the general program of what is the NACA program. The best in mortgage, no money down, no closing costs, point fees, no credit rating is a cost as a factor, no closing costs, and below market rate, fixed rate, a 30-year fixed rate. That's huge. Right now, as you can see, the rates the last week when I ran this report is 2.8 for a 30-year fixed rate. That's beautiful. When I just went through the program relatively recently, I bought my home in December, and the rate was 2.5, a little bit lower. So so you can see the rate doesn't fluctuate that much. It is huge right there. What is the NACA program in terms of rental and mortgage assistance? A rental and mortgage assistance program has been around for 35 years. And the program is nationwide. And the first step in the program is to go to the NACA.com, this website here. And because of COVID, they're all online orientations. And the first step is to go through the orientation. They have once or twice a month in different languages. Once you go through that monthly orientation, it's about an hour and a half. If you've ever been through that thing, Miss Jane, have you gone through your orientation yet with NACA first? Yes. So it's about an hour and a half, right? And once you go to the hour and a half, you get what is called, yes, is it an hour and a half still, or is it longer?
Actually, it's 4 hours.
You have to be kidding.
No.
It's 4 hours? I thought it was
okay, I could be wrong. Wait, 2 hours. 2 hours. So mind you, it's 3 hours different from over there. Yeah.
That's right. That's right. But once you get that, you go through that orientation, you answer all the questions, you get what is called a NACA ID number. The first step is register for an orientation. I will include the link. Go to NACA.com. First step. Arrange for one of those orientations. It's a lot of, they're going to tell you all the bells and whistles, all the good side of it. I'm going to tell you the other side of the story, and there is another side of the story that gives NACA a bad reputation. But do not let that fool you. This is for us, by us. We're entitled to it. Don't let those negative reputations stop you from getting this privilege, because it is. Take advantage of it, right? Don't let that scare you. So go to NACA.com. First step, register for the orientation. Then you would get a NACA ID number. Like mine's right here, NACA ID number. And here's where the process starts. You have to go through each one of these steps. And after you get the orientation, you get your NACA ID, you can register, and you start going through these qualifications. This first is the intake preparation. As you see there to the left, let me use my mouse, right? That's the first step, and you are assigned a NACA counselor. Now here's where the other side, the reality is going to kick in. These people, I don't work for NACA, but once you go to the NACA program, you're entitled to do some volunteer work. This has nothing to do with that volunteer work. I'm doing this out of straight love for the people that I know. So I will never share this with the NACA people, but here's the reality. They have the most horrible customer service on the planet Earth. I'm going to say that again. These people are hourly wages. They're from different parts of the country. They have no sense of urgency. Customer service is horrible. You will be inclined to choke somebody or cuss somebody out. Please refrain from that. You are going to do it. Let me just put that up front. The worst customer service I've ever experienced, period. But is it still worth it? Absolutely. Remember, keep in mind, I'm doing this for me. I'm not going to let these people stop me from achieving this government funded. Just because these people are not trained well and they're incompetent at times, that's not going to stop me from taking advantage of this. Keep that in mind, because you are going to have absolute patience, right? Once you're assigned a counselor, pray before pray that you get one that will answer your calls and respond. I got one. My experience was I went through three, not one, two, but three counselors for various reasons. The first one I got was absolutely golden. She was amazing, but she went on maternity leave. She was walking me through the program. She was saying, I put in all my financial information. I see where you are. This is where we need to be. You need to give me this. We're going to meet again in a month. When I called back, she was saying she went on maternity leave. Then I got another one who was Satan's sister. I got a mortgage counselor, Satan, whoever this woman was, she was pure evil. I'm like, what is wrong with you? She wouldn't return my calls. I took a day off of work, and I hope this doesn't scare you. I'm just giving you the reality of this program. If you can go through less than what I went through, your experience will be better than mine, right? So she scheduled an appointment a month. It was a 2-hour appointment because it was so important. You can't do it on your lunch break because it may take longer. So I took a half a day off, scheduled this date. This person did not call, did not respond to her emails. And I'm hot as fish grease, right? I took half the day off for this. So I called the manager and all these people. Finally, one of the supervisors called me, and in an hour session, he went through all of these things with me, knowing that I was in a situation. So I had all my documentation. I submitted my financial statement to him, and he was a supervisor, so he couldn't put me through. So we rescheduled the appointment with my counselor, and she was very casual and nonchalant about it, rescheduled. And I kept having these scheduling problems with this person until finally, after 3 or 4 miscues between the two of us and my concerns, they removed her, and I got a third counselor. And that's what took my process. It took me 1.5 years to go through this program. It will not and should not take you that long. That's my experience. I think my experience is probably one of the worst. And admit it. I don't think it'll be that bad. But if I've gotten through it under most circumstances and those experiences, it should be better for you. And I'm going to share with you some things that could prevent you from going through the length and the challenges that I did. Part of it was on me. So once I got a good counselor and we went through the qualification process next. Intake, present, and the qualification. Ms. Jane, what part are you? Are you in the intake preparation or are you at the qualification process?
I believe where I need to upload my documents, all the requested documents.
Yes. So you're at this screen right here.
Okay.
Here's another challenge. That website upload, it stinks. It's horrible, it's old, and it's delayed. Right? So when you upload your documents and it's asking you for qualification, what it's going to say is your check stub, every time you get paid, upload a copy of your check stub in a PDF form and also email it. Don't just trust this system, because part of the challenge I was having, the person was telling me, I didn't get your uploaded check stub. I didn't get your bank statement. I'm like, you kidding me? I uploaded it. I can see it. I did it 2 or 3 times. They kept asking for the same information over and over again. So I said, I'm not going to keep doing it. I know I did the upload, but as a backup, you upload it and email it. You do both. Your email address will be, it's a NACA NSYS email address, and I'll find that for you. So whenever you upload something, also email it to your NACA ID, your NACA email, and that's another backup. That saved me quite a bit, and that saved me some time. So once I got that, and I kept emailing every week, and when it came to the qualification portion, which is there, but what they qualify you is they base it on your income and your overhead. What that means is they look at your calculated income on a regular basis versus what your bills are. For example, my income at the time, my overhead was $1,300. I was paying $1,300 a month for a place I was renting, and I was whatever your rental place is, they want you to automatically give you a signed document to verify, hey, Mr. D, they're going to approve that what you're paying for monthly rent. So if my rent was $1,300, then they were showing, my income was showing I was saving $400 per pay period, plus the rent that I was paying. So what they want to do to determine your qualification is, can you pay your rent and save the X amount of money, which will equal what your mortgage would be. right? It had nothing to do with your annual income. It had a lot to do with your monthly affordability. That's how the woman that I met was able to buy a $300,000 house on $45,000 income. Why? Because her overhead was that, could afford it. And with these low interest rates, a mortgage on the house that I bought was $395 or something like that. $365, $375. The mortgage is only $1,745. That's much more. That's much less than what people
where you were.
A 2-bedroom. So again, the proof is in the pudding. If you can afford rent in California, you can afford a mortgage. So if you're uploading, once you get your NACA ID and your NACA ID and you start the process after you go through the orientation, you get a counselor. They're going to ask you to upload your paycheck, your income, and they're going to ask you to fill out a monthly, what is called a budget sheet. And the budget will say, here are my bills, here's my rent, here's my car note, here's my insurance, everything you're paying every month. And they're going to determine whether, okay, can you afford a mortgage? So if you're able to pay all your bills and your rent and save $300 to $400 a month, in my case, I was saving $900, almost $400 a paycheck. I was able to save that, and that determined I was able to save almost between $800 a month on top of paying my bills and my rent, and they determined that I was affordable. That's where that qualification comes in. This is how they qualify you, monthly affordability. And once I got through that process, after a month of going through 3 counselors and cussing a few people out and them asking me for the same stuff over and over and over and over and over again, I finally got through the qualification process and I got that letter saying you are qualified. Now, here's another challenge that NACA will not tell you. The reputation of NACA, mortgage realtors were running high. It's not popular. I know several realtors, when I mentioned NACA, that I qualified through NACA, they were like, oh, it takes too long because they want their money up front. It's a hustle. I got a family member that's in the realtor. He's like, oh, he said, what you going through, NACA? Oh, no, that take 18 months. He didn't want to mess with me, right? So it's going to be a challenge even finding a realtor to work with you because they know this NACA program, the process is a little bit longer, but I did find one. After 3, it took me 3 times to find one of those. The second, after my family member was like, oh, hell no. This is somebody in my family thinking, okay, we cool. Oh, no, that's a NACA. I'm like, really? Damn, I'm family. Nah, right? But then I found another person in the Fairfield Solano area. We went to visit 3 houses in the area, and she said, you at NACA? She said, she looked me right in the face. I've never known anybody to ever complete that program. I'm like, damn, that's encouraging, right? But you're not dealing with a regular human being. I'm not regular. I'm not one of those, okay? I'm going to get through this damn program because I have no other options, right? Remember, bankruptcy, divorce, 1 income, and challenging credit. This is the only option for me, right? I ain't got time to go through all those hoops. I'm going to make this work, right? So then, after the 3rd house we looked at, she stopped returning my calls. Stop. I'm like, really? I saw a house here. And you know how fast the market was going. I'm like, remember, Jan, you remember that? I was like, wait. I was telling you all this stuff when I was going through it, right? And all of a sudden, she just stopped calling. We was going to visit houses every week. I'm like, what's going on? I found out that realtors don't want to mess with NACA. Then, 3rd time's a charm again, I found a realtor. Miss Angelique and her team, they cover all the Solano. And before I had this presentation, I asked them, because they was going through with me, I said, are you guys still working with NACA? At one point, when we were going through this 1.5-year program with them, and she was going to visit houses, and we kept getting bids turned down, we would put a bid together on a house, and my realtors, Miss Angela, they would put in a bid, and our bids would be denied. Why? Because even sellers will see that NACA, and they'll say, oh, hell no, it's going to take y'all too long. So even the reputation of the sellers know that NACA is a slow process. So our bids kept getting denied. So this brilliant young lady and her team said, listen, we're going to get through this. Because so what we're going to do, when we found a house that was in our affordability, between $300,000 and $400,000, they said, we're going to put $20,000 bid over, and we're going to guarantee $2,000 more based on what the house appraised at. And that sweetened the pot. Once we start putting 20, if it was asking 350, we was bidding 370. If the house was going for 370, we was bidding 390, right? Once we start doing that, they was like, oh, it's NACA, but man, I like that we sweeten the pot, right? So we finally got 2 offers based on doing that formula. And I asked Miss, because they was getting mad, just as upset as I was, going through this process with NACA, because each realtor have to be a registered NACA realtor. So you have to find a NACA realtor, and I have a list of them for you. So going through this, after NACA, my realtor I found said, "You are our first and last NACA." They was done with NACA too after going through that stuff with me. She said, "After we done with you, we're done with NACA." I'm like, damn, really? So I would have been the first and last NACA client that this realtor gone through. But I asked her recently, I said, "I'm doing a little presentation. Are you still taking NACA clients?" She says, "Yes, we are." So I have an actual referral. If you're in the Solano County Bay Area, I have a referral of a great NACA realtor, Angela and her team. She will take on if you need a realtor, right? So that's where we are with that. Now, I talked about finding a realtor. I got one for you if you have one. If they have to be NACA certified. The housing search we talked about, right? Getting through that NACA. Then you go to the bank submit. Once the housing search, you get a bid, you get added to it. The housing search, you depending on your affordability, you're gonna have to visit quite a few. And don't be discouraged here too, because I was getting discouraged because we kept getting outbid. But it's persistence and persistence. You will find if you continue to be persistent. So you just be patient, because that was a stressful process. I had a loan approval from NACA. I had my approval letter. I'm like, what's the problem? Why am I not getting these bids accepted? So we had to go a little bit below. I was looking for a 3 and 2, 3-bedroom, 2-bath. I had to compromise a little bit. So, okay, maybe start asking for a 3 and 1 and I can upgrade. So I had to do some adjustment to my own preferences before I got a bid accepted. Once I got that, then the other part was bank submission. Now, once you've gone through all that qualification that you went and step in the intake process, the qualification process, all your documentation, and again, your credit rating doesn't matter, but if you have something on your credit, you're gonna have to clean that up or make sure it's in good standing. Now, Kip, we got family here, so I'm gonna tell you my personal business. I don't matter. I told you all my personal business anyway. So I had something on my credit. One of my family members was locked up, and I bailed them out, right? Everybody's been through this once or twice in life, right? So promise me, okay, I'm gonna put this bail money up, you're gonna take care of me, right? It didn't happen. Family member left me with the bag. Aladdin was in my pocket. I'm just being 100%. So I'm like, look, I said, they said, you got Aladdin. I said, Aladdin? What the hell is that? I ain't got nothing to do with Aladdin. And it was that bail situation that a family member needed help, right? So that was on my credit. They said, listen, you either got to ante up and clean that up or make sure it's in good standing. So I was able to do some careful negotiations with the individual that was involved. We got to take care of this because this is hindering my capacity to buy a house. So we need to fix this and get this cleaned up. We got that. That was the only thing that I had to clean up in order to get that bank qualification. Now, if another benefit from NACA, if you had things on your credit, anything that was 2 years older, it doesn't matter. Because I had quite a few things. I went through a bankruptcy and all this other stuff, all these medical benefits when I was married, all that stuff didn't matter. It was over 2 years old. It was charged out. It was done. So anything within 2 years that's on your credit, you're going to have to respond to that, right? And all you would have to do is write a letter saying, here's what happened. Here's what I didn't do. Here's what I'm going to do different. And what I did, because I had a few of those little minor things on my credit, I wrote one letter with the help of what I have. I got somebody in my car that edits everything that I do. Thanks, Miss English. Right? So I wrote up a general letter, right? And she cleaned it up, and we made about 4 or 5 of those and just put them all, just changed the names of the creditors, right? Does that make sense? So you're explaining why you was in this credit situation, what happened, and what you're going to do different. I had to do that for about 3 or 4 creditors that was on my credit report. not the number, but just something that was on there as a charge off or something went bad, right? Once I did those, uploaded those, I was good, and I got that stamp of approval. Now I'm in the bank submission. Now the last thing that they're gonna do for the bank submission, they gotta verify that all the stuff that you said was true still, because I've been going through this for months. So the final checks and balances for the bank, they got to make sure that you're still in your employment. So you got to keep uploading they're going to do a final walkthrough with your income, make sure your income has not changed. They may make sure your employer has not changed. They're going to make sure that your monthly bills have not changed. So don't go out and buy no Tesla or nothing like that. I'm just saying, I ain't saying no names, but this is not the time to go buy a Tesla or something, because you want to keep your overhead low so that you can have that overhead. They can say you can afford this. Get the Tesla later, right? So once they're going to clean that up, make sure you're straight. Once they do that, you got that bank submission, and then the B of A, Bank of America, is the underwriter that funds all of the NACA programs. This is a multi-billion-dollar program. It's government funded, and it's been around since the 80s. 45 tried his best to take money from this. It didn't happen. This has been around, and it's the best kept secret in the United States. They don't advertise it because it's like a county office. You know how horrible county services are? They don't give a damn. They're going to get paid anyway. That's why they treat people like shit. So it's the same concept. That's why the customer service is so poor, because they know they're going to get paid anyway. Their salary, right? They don't care about the end results. They just care about the numbers, because they know they're going to continue to get funding. So keep that in mind when you come across a NACA service and their service sucks. Complaining up is not going to do nothing, because the CEO of NACA has been in that position since the 80s. I'm going to say that again. The CEO, and I called all the way up to the CEO because I was having such a hard time. It doesn't matter. They're going to be who they are. You just got to tough it up without cussing somebody out and choking somebody. Just get through it, right? So get through the program, patience, 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 patience. You just have to be patient. And that's all. They're going to keep asking you for the same stuff. Just really be patient. Do not give up. I know some people who've done that. So the best ways to expedite the process is upload your documents regularly. Even if you think you did it again. And that backup is you upload your documents to your NACA website, your NACA portal. Every paycheck you get a letter from your employer, a letter from your rental, whoever you're paying your rent to, all your finances, your check stubs. If you got a credit card, they're gonna ask for that too. If you have two bank accounts, one from credit union, one from a regular bank, they want those bank statements that you get every month. Put them in PDF, upload them, and email them. Just keep doing that regularly, every time. It's a clockwork. Stay in constant communication with your NACA, your NACA person. Do not be afraid to get on someone's nerves. My realtor said, "You're getting on my nerves." She literally said that to me. I never heard a customer service say that. And I asked her to repeat that. I said, "Did you just say?" She said, "Yes." She told me I was calling her too much. I'm like, "I'm sorry. This is my life. I'm going to make this happen. I'm going to call you every day if I have to, because I need to get this done." Especially when the clock was ticking. For example, when you put a bid on a home, that seller wants that home to clear. I know the term for that. I forget the term I'm looking for. It has to. We've been in contract. I was in contract for almost 3 months, 2 months. That's unheard of. A month and a half. If anyone has ever bought some property before, I don't know if Ms. Roberts is on. Do you know, remember, what is the average time for a person to clear a contract on a house? It's probably about within 30 days. This program took almost 2 months, and it's unheard of according to the realtors. The seller was almost like, I'm about to cancel this bid. I've accepted your offer, but I'm moving on, because even that process was taking so long. So I almost lost the house that I got accepted because NACA's funding program was also slow. You follow me? So again, I had to stay in constant contact with every process through it, right? And the last part, number 3, is again, have a good realtor that knows the NACA program, right? They have to know the program. They have to be familiar with it. And I have some recommendations for you. All right. With that, anybody have any questions? I'm gonna stop sharing. Any questions about that, Mr. D? I can't hear you. I think you have to unmute. Okay. Guess you try it. I'll just say, did you add it? I can't hear you.
Oh, there it goes. There it goes.
Yeah.
What about student loans?
Yes, good question. Those student loans are there, but if you have student loans that's got to be a part of your income. So you gotta submit that, because that's part of whatever is part of your monthly income, your monthly bills. You got to report that, because they need to see what your affordability is. But the good news is the Biden administration is working on forgiveness for student loans. So stay up on that. Duran is my oldest son. Duran, he's going through that. He got about a few. He's trying to go through that program too. But you got to calculate that and see if that'll be. So let that be a deterrent.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Well, I'll talk to you on later note in regards to that. Like, what's he doing? Yeah.
Yeah.
What else? Okay.
And you looking in a certain area?
All right.
Yeah.
I mean, if I could, we want to stay where we are. You know, we're in San Jose, so.
Yeah. Santa Clara County. Yeah.
Yeah.
So the first step is to get that NACA, go to the orientation and start the process.
Mm-hmm.
Start the process. All right.
Okay.
James had to go. So that's it. I'm recording this session, so those who couldn't join, I'm gonna save this. You can refer back. But D, I'm your contact, brother. I want you. Let's get through this. Every step of the way, I can help you through the process. Each step, call on me anytime. I can help you find a realtor. If I'm not sure the realtor I recommended deals with that area, but I will certainly ask her. But definitely, let's start that process. First step, do that NACA.com, register for one of those orientations, and start that process. Yeah.
All right. Yeah.
I know. So reach out to me anytime, okay?
All right, I will. Yeah.
All right, folks. I appreciate it. And again, I'll put save this little presentation, and we can refer back to it. If you have any issues, reach out to me, and I can I can give you whatever information I have. All right.
Okay.
All right, folks.
I don't know who else is on, but all right.
All right. Reach out. Tell everybody to say what's up, Mr. D.
I will. All right. Sounds good.
All right.